So I like to use materials that are no longer useful for other purposes when I do art. Uh, at one point, I discovered how much fun it was to use tea bags and coffee filters. So I'd saved a whole bunch of these things, took all the tea like out of the bags once it was dry, scraped all the coffee. I used some coffee filters that didn't fit my coffee maker anymore, so they were new but no longer useful. But I'd also saved some that were used, let them dry because I like the color, the stain, and I thought it was cool. Anyway, so I'm going to show you some work I've done using these kind of materials. In both cases, whether I used the coffee filter or the tea bags, I manipulated them after soaking them through with matte medium, acrylic matte medium. So this was the result. I'd taken some photographs during a trip to Florida of, underbrush, like in a Florida national park in southern Florida. And there were a lot of fallen logs and trees on which different fungus was growing, and this fascinated me. So this particular painting was the outcome of one of those excursions. Typical of Florida, it was all warm colors, lots of ochres and oranges and things like that in the underbrush. And there was fungus, different kinds of mushrooms growing on the fallen logs. So to render these, I dried the tea bags, then I folded them, like I took all the tea out of them, and then I folded them and soaked them with matte medium and manipulated them to glue them onto the tree trunk once it was painted. Once it was dry, I put on another coat of matte medium to make sure that the structures that I put on became quite hard. So this is what you see over here. It's made with tea bags. Then on the bark of the trees, there was, some of the bark was peeling. So I don't know if you see properly here, but the bark was peeling. So I ripped up some strips of used coffee filters that were stained into little strips, and then I glued them onto my canvas with matte medium to give the impression of the peeling bark on the tree. And I put some over here also on the fallen log, so you can see that. So all it is, all these little strips are made from used coffee filters that I dried and then tore up. So the final result is this piece, which shows an underbrush in the national park outside of Sunny Isles, Florida. So I had a lot of fun doing this. I like gluing things on things, so it was great fun. Then I'd also gone for, I go for a lot of walks in the woods at home as well. And I was on a kick of painting mushrooms. So I produced this particular piece from a photograph of mushrooms that were growing in the forest, I think at Cap Saint-Jacques, and which is a nature park not far from where I live. So I really wanted to show the the structure of the mushroom. Like when you cut it on the inside, when you slice a mushroom, you can see all the different like strips and ridges of which it's made of, like the width of it, like the thickness of it. I really wanted to show that. So after digging around in my kitchen, I found that I had coffee filters that no longer fit my coffee maker. They were basket coffee filters. So I cut some of them up, and then after painting my background, I, with matte medium, glued some of the coffee filters. Like I followed the fold of the shape of the filter, and I compressed it and glued it like that. So there's some all along the foreground over here in this large mushroom. And then I used paste to simulate like a, less obvious like ridging on the back of the mushroom. Then some of the mushrooms were not quite the same. They were smaller and less obvious, but I still wanted to show the ridging. That was their thickness. So I took some wrapping from a cookie package. You know how cookies are often wrapped in like a cardboard, like a corrugated cardboard? Well, I cut a strip of that and shaped it to go along the bottom of my mushroom over here. So I had a lot of fun doing that. So basically, just things from wrappings, filters, old tea bags, things like that, that you can use to create textures and paintings. And it's stuff you get rid of anyway, so you may as well find something else to do with it, So I now have, I'll show you, I now have containers full of all kinds of materials that I save. So you can see my bookcase over there, all these containers. Well, those are all containers in which I put materials that I recycle, and I keep just in case I get some kind of bright idea on how to reuse them. So the next time that I come and meet with you, I'll show you what you can do with the netting bags that you buy oranges, avocados, and onions in. That is also, a great tool to produce all kinds of interesting motifs in your paintings. So thank you very much, and if you enjoy these videos, feel free to subscribe. I'd love to hear from you again, and if you have comments and suggestions, of course I'd love to hear from you. Take care, have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.